Today, we're going to tell the biggest story of all, the story of us. It's this incredible journey that stretches across millions of years, starting with the very first simple stone tools, all the way to the massive skyscrapers that define our world today. It's really an epic of invention, discovery, and connection that explains, well, how we got to right now.
I mean, it's a huge question, right? But it's really the question at the heart of our story. This whole thing is about connecting those 2 points. That simple stone axe and, the smartphone that's probably in your pocket. How on earth did that happen? Well, let's find out.
So, we're going to cackle this epic story in 6 key parts. You can think of them as the foundational building blocks of civilization. We'll start at the very, very beginning, at the dawn of humanity, and we'll build our way, step by step, right on up to the modern era.
Okay, so our story begins here. We're talking about an era that covers more than 99% of human history. It's way back in this deep past that the foundations for everything, and I mean everything, to come were slowly, and I mean really slowly, put into place.
You know, what's just so striking when you look at a timeline like this is the sheer scale of it all. Just look at those dates. From Homo habilis 2.5 million years ago, all the way to our own species appearing around 300,000 years ago. Progress was incredibly slow. For almost all of our existence, we were nomadic hunters and gatherers. Life was just about survival, defined completely by what nature decided to give us.
And then came a spark of genius, literally. Mastering fire was an absolute game changer. I mean, it wasn't just about being warm, it was protection from predators at night, it was a social hub for communities to gather around, and maybe most importantly, it let us cook our food, which unlocked a ton more energy and nutrition. This was our first real step toward mastering our own environment. So that first step, mastering our environment, it totally set the stage for our next great leap. Because after millions of years of just wandering, humanity made what is probably the single most important shift in its entire history. This is the moment we stopped just surviving and started truly building.
And this is it, the Neolithic Revolution. Yeah, it sounds a little academic, but this is, you could argue, the most radical lifestyle change we ever went through. Instead of just finding food, we started making it. But, and this is the really interesting part, it came with a cost. Studies of early skeletons actually show that the first farmers worked way harder, had worse nutrition, and got sick more often than their hunter-gatherer ancestors. It was a trade-off.
So here's the crucial point. Farming changed absolutely everything. For the first time, it created a stable, predictable supply of food. And if you don't have to constantly move around to find your next meal, well, you can do something totally revolutionary. You can stay in one place. You can build a permanent home, then a village, and eventually, a city. So with that foundation of agriculture firmly in place, humanity got to work on its next great project. All around the world, almost at the same time, in these super fertile river valleys, the first true civilizations began to blossom. And what's so brilliant about this is that it shows how different groups of people, completely independently, arrived at really similar solutions. I mean, from China to Egypt, they all settled near rivers for water and for trade. And from there, they all developed organized governments, social structures, and, get this, the first systems of writing. It's just a testament to our shared human ingenuity, really. And if we kind of zoom in on the 2 earliest ones, you can really see their unique flavors. Over in Mesopotamia, you could say they gave us the software of society, the first written language, and these really comprehensive legal codes. Meanwhile, in Egypt, they were all about massive hardware projects, unifying their entire society to build things like the pyramids. Just an incredible display of organizational and mathematical skill.
So as these civilizations grew, they became empires. But, the most powerful empires weren't just built on land and armies. They were built on ideas. This next era is all about the legacies from across the globe that completely shaped how we think, how we govern, and how we see the world, even today. I mean, just take ancient Greece. They didn't build the biggest empire, not by a long shot. But if Mesopotamia wrote the first few lines of society's software, you could say the Greeks created the operating system that a lot of us are still running on. The idea that citizens should have a say in their own government, democracy, that's their code. The whole practice of questioning everything to find the truth, philosophy, yep, that's their code too.
And then there was Rome. Oh man, if the Greeks were these brilliant innovators, the Romans were the ultimate amplifiers. They were absolute masters of scale. They would take the best ideas they could find, especially from the Greeks, and then engineer them to work across a massive continent-spanning empire.
So if Greece gave us the software, Rome gave us the hardware. They were just brilliant engineers. Their incredible network of roads connected the whole empire. Their aqueducts brought clean water to huge cities. And their architectural feats, like the Colosseum, are still standing today. Just an amazing testament to their power.
But beyond all the concrete and stone, Rome's most enduring legacy was probably its legal code. They created this really sophisticated system that was built on principles just like this one, this core idea of fairness. And that became the foundational blueprint for legal systems all across Europe and much of the modern world.
But these empires of the mind were not just a Mediterranean thing. At the very same time Rome was engineering its roads, a golden age was flourishing in India under the Gupta Empire. And their thinkers gifted the world a concept so powerful it's hard to even imagine modern life without it, the number zero. And this wasn't just a placeholder. It was a totally revolutionary idea that unlocked complex mathematics and became essential for science and engineering everywhere.
Okay, so after the classical empires faded, the world started to become way more interconnected. Knowledge from the Islamic Golden Age, which, by the way, preserved all those Greek texts and made huge advances in science, along with technologies from China, like printing and gunpowder, all began to flow into Europe. This incredible fusion set off a chain reaction that would launch the world headfirst into the modern age.
Just look at this cascade! It's like a set of dominoes. The printing press makes knowledge accessible to pretty much everyone, which then fuels the Renaissance, this incredible rebirth of learning. That new knowledge inspires an age of exploration, connecting the entire globe for the first time. And of course, those new global connections and scientific breakthroughs ultimately power the Industrial Revolution, which completely reshaped our planet. One thing just led directly to the next. So here we are. We've journeyed all the way from the dawn of humanity right up to the doorstep of our modern world. Now let's kind of bring it all together and think about what this incredible shared story means for us today.
Every single stage we've talked about was a necessary building block. It's really that simple. Without agriculture, you don't get cities. Without cities, you don't get these great empires spreading ideas. And without those ideas, there is no scientific revolution. And without science, well, there's no industrial, digital world. Each step was built right on top of the one that came before it.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? Yeah, of course, human history is filled with conflict and struggle, but the bigger picture, the real arc of our story, is one of building. It's a story of sharing knowledge, of cooperating to solve huge problems, and of constantly, always pushing forward.
We are the inheritors of this entire incredible journey, from that very first stone tool all the way to the latest supercomputer. We hold all those lessons and all that knowledge in our hands. So the final question isn't really about the past, it's about the future. What will we, the next chapter in this amazing story, choose to build?